Hello and welcome back to the Blue Jacket Banner. I'm your host, Jose Gomez, and I have three very special guests with me here today, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name's Candace, and I'm from the Golden Isles FFA chapter.
My name is Evan Hardiman. I'm from the Montgomery County FFA chapter.
My name's Maddox Link, and I was from the Ware County FFA chapter, but now I go to ABAC.
All right, so I'm glad y'all made the drive to get here today. I know some had longer drives than others. You're from Montgomery County, right?
Yep. About an hour and a half.
Yep. And then I know you drove from Tifton and you drove from Brunswick, and I live 10 minutes down the road. But yeah, we all had a long drive to get here. But just to get started, there's a wheel right here, and you get to spin it, and then just tell me what number it lands on, and then the number that it lands on will be the question that I ask you.
Okay.
It spins for a while.
I've noticed that with all the other episodes.
Yeah.
Should put
Go
Jeopardy
back.
music with it.
I'll try. One or two are right in the middle.
We'll go with one.
We'll go with one. All right. So if you had any superpower, what would it be and why?
Probably the ability to fly,
The ability
just so I can see everything. And I feel like I would be able to get places faster.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Whose turn is it next?
You
Back
can-
around that way.
Two.
Two. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be and why?
So I really want to go to Scotland and tour that. Scotland, Ireland. I really think the culture there is really cool. Get to see some bagpipes playing down the street and the kilts. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, isn't that where all the redheads are from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a guy in my class last semester that was like 7 foot tall, and he played the bagpipes and wore a skirt. Like, actually.
Like a transfer student?
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right.
I tried not to do a hard spin. Seven.
All right. If you had the option, would you rather go to the future or would you rather go back to the past and why?
I'd rather go to the future to see how my life turns out.
All right. I respect that answer. All right, so getting into the actual point of this episode today, just going to get a little bit more background about y'all so the viewers and the listeners know who y'all are and just more about you. So could y'all tell me like what inspired y'all to join FFA or what made that spark that made y'all want to join FFA?
All right, so I'll go first. So my dad actually used to be an ag teacher, and he kind of inspired me to join in the 6th grade. So I've been a member since then. I've served as chapter officer all those years. But then he stopped teaching ag, and my new ag teacher encouraged me even more to get into it and get active, serving as an area officer and being able to go to national convention 2 years now. But just getting to meet people, that's a big thing for me. I love meeting new people and getting to travel, and then as an area officer, getting to serve others.
All right.
for me, I would say I joined because my older brother was active in FFA, and he would always come home and tell us all the fun trips he went on. And when I got in middle school, I joined. And then when I got to high school, I stepped up and served as an officer for my chapter. And then my advisors encouraged me to get involved in CDEs and LDEs. And I really enjoy going all the places and meeting all the people.
All right. What about you, Maddox?
Mine was kind of the same way with your brother. Is like my sisters both did it, and I realized like how much fun it was. I even went like I remember their 6th grade year whenever they went to the Perry Fair. I went with them, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And then like I come from a background of farmers, and I didn't realize how big FFA was until I got into it in the 6th grade. And then I was an officer like you all the way up, even in my 9th grade. And yeah.
Kind of have the same way as both of y'all. My sister was in it, and then that just made me get into it in middle school. And then I served as an officer in my 8th grade, and then 8th grade year, and every year so far. And I was area officer before, and it was such a fun experience. but just I think it was definitely my sister that made that spark happen. And like you said, like you mentioned that your advisor pushed you to compete in CDEs. So that kind of leads us to the next question. What is your favorite CDE or LDE and why?
My favorite CDE is definitely wildlife. I normally do aquatic management in wildlife, which is learning about, the fish and pond management and things like that. And that's something that I really enjoy. This year, our wildlife team actually placed second in area, and we got to go on and compete at state. But unfortunately, we only placed ninth. But I think that's honestly pretty good for our first time competing at state.
That's good.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Candace. My favorite one is wildlife management. I do game birds. Past 2 years, I got first to area individually, but we haven't been able to go to state as a team. Besides that one, my favorite LDE that I've done has been creed speaking. So I've done that from 7th grade to 9th grade, and just being able to memorize the creed and learn what it's about and the value of it, it just had an impact on me because you don't really think about the words in it unless you like study it and kind of think about it. And it was just fun to get to do all that.
I probably have two. Job interview. I like to talk, and I feel like I always have done good in the interview process. And then ag issues. Our first year we did it on H2A wages, and it was interesting to learn about it and then be able to teach other people about it in our community. And then going the first year, it was straight to state at ABAC, and it was like a big step up.
Yep. I've done every CD in the book except 5. So I don't know if I have a favorite, but CDE is between, I'll say, four-man forestry and floriculture. I definitely love those two competitions. And then LDEs, I'll say prepared. I love preparing a speech and then just being able to talk about it, and then people asking you questions about the speech that you did and just being able to answer it. I just really love prepared public speaking. I love that competition a lot. But kind of leading into the next question as well as favorite things in FFA. So what could you say your favorite FFA event could be, where it's a region rally or FFA Day at the fair or any convention? What would that be?
I think mine is definitely state convention. I just really enjoy getting to see all of my teammates and chapter members get on stage for their awards, and I also love meeting other people from different chapters as well.
I would have to say probably this past year at Region Rally, I got to serve as the area officer, and being on that side, it was totally different. But just getting to lead the activities that we did, getting to talk to new members, and encouraging them to be active in their chapter, and being able, like I said, being able to meet all those people, it was just super fun. And then getting to connect with our area officers, and it was actually funny because my birthday fell on the second day of Region Rally. So Central Region has 2 days. We have Area 4 one day and then Area 3. And the second day, it was my birthday, and we all celebrated that, and it was super fun getting to celebrate with people I love the most.
Yeah, that's fun. Yep.
Can I say something on the community level?
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, Elementary Ag Day is something that we did at ours where we invited all the elementary schools and then we taught them about ag. And if you had an animal, like somebody bring a cow, I would always bring my horse. And it was always nice to be able to teach the kids about something that you're passionate about. And then also, they would bring their own sack lunches, and they would always have carrots in those bags. And those kids do not eat carrots, but my horse sure would.
I remember I have a picture of like Maddox like holding like her shirt out with all the carrots in her bag. Like we were at the end of the tables, and we were asking all the kids like, "Are you going to eat your carrots?" And they're like, "No." And then they'll just toss them in the bag. We had like 3 bags full of carrots. But my favorite event, I don't know, that's tough to choose because each event has their favorite parts in it for me. But if I had to choose, it'd be between Region Rally or National Convention this year specifically. With the Region Rally last year, I got to be on the area officer side, like you said, and it was definitely a fun experience seeing the backside and everything that goes into preparing for that day. And then also serving as a national delegate this year at National Convention, that was definitely a fun experience. Just getting to see the backside of everything that's going on in our organization and kind of trying to solve some issues or some hot topics in FFA, but I'll definitely say those two are up there for me. But getting into the actual point of this episode, so today's episode, if y'all didn't know by the title already, is going to be about proficiencies. And Candace actually is a region winner in her proficiency area. And then Evan and Maddox were national finalists at National Convention last year in 2024. And they were on that national stage, which is really, really cool. So getting into the main topic of today's episode, could you explain what your SAE and how you became to start that SAE?
All right, so my SAE is in the realm of beekeeping. So my family has been keeping bees since 1972. I'm a fourth-generation beekeeper. We have over 5,000 hives throughout Toombs, Montgomery, Telfair, Wheeler, and Tattnall County. We have worked, like I said, I've worked with my SAE since I was even younger than being of age in FFA. I've done it since I can walk. But whenever I got into sixth grade, I was kind of like, well, I need an SAE. And then I was like, well, I already have one. And I started working during the summer. So that's kind of what my proficiency was about, was working in the bees. And then I've been able to develop that. And now me and my dad have our own hives. We sell some honey on the side. But the main thing with Hardeman apiaries is the queen production. So we sell a lot of queens and packaged bees. And actually right now we just started our really busy season. So we can sell anywhere from 10 to 20,000 queens in probably throughout this, March, April, all the way to June usually. We ramp up right now, and yeah.
All right. Yeah, we have bees at where I have the sheep barn at our house. We have some bee boxes back there. And then we have a local place here called Sanders Honey Company, and they're the ones that own them, and they always give us a ton of jars of honey from it. We get I think 20 jars of honey each time he goes out there, but it's a lot, and it's too much honey to have for us, so we always end up giving it out. But what about you, Candace?
So my SAE is my job at Golden Isles Animal Hospital. Whenever I first joined FFA, I knew that I wanted to do anything in the field with animals. So my work-based learning teacher reached out to me and told me that they had this internship there. So I just jumped right in and got started. I started working in the kennel area, which is where people board their pets. And I pretty much just had to learn how to feed them, make sure they're getting the right amount, take them out, clean up after them, make sure the kennels are getting cleaned right. And then once I got that pretty down pat good, I got moved into the clinic area, which is where I started off just watching and assisting in during the surgeries and taking vitals. And then I got moved into physically doing stuff. So I got to learn how to draw blood, do x-rays, assist with ultrasounds, and yeah, things like that. It's really fun, but I do see a lot of maybe nasty stuff to some people, but I really enjoy seeing that side of it.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I worked at a vet clinic once, and it was the same way. I love surgeries. I had gotten to where I was the one that was back there, and they'd let me do the teeth cleanings, and somebody would just be watching me. Sometimes it was like you would be doing a teeth cleaning, and teeth would just fall out.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh.
Yep.
It'd be awful. It's really bad sometimes. But anyways, my SAE is equine science proficiency. So I have my own horses, but I had started working at a barn. This is about 4 years ago now. At the barn I had messaged a lady, and she had a summer camp that was coming up. It was her first year ever doing it. I asked her if she needed help doing it because I wanted to be involved in anything equine. And she was like, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure how many kids I'm going to have interested, but if you want to come and just show me your skills and all, I'll see if she wanted to offer me a job. So I went to her barn, and she had me get on one of her horses, and she just told me to go out there and do stuff. She literally said that. She was like, I want you to saddle up, and I'm just going to watch. I was like, okay. And I did it, and she hired me there on the spot. That year, we started summer camp. We had 4 weeks in a row, and each week it was a new group of kids, and we had about probably 12 to 13. And in that week, we started off where we would teach each kid basic course, how to take care of them, how to clean their stalls, how to brush them. We taught them why proper nutrition is important, And then we also taught them how to ride and like the basics on how to ride on their own. I did that the first year, and then she asked me if I wanted to start giving lessons of my own. So I took on my own group of lesson kids, and at the start I had one lesson kid. By the end I had like 6 or 7. And I had three that were autistic out of those. And they were definitely like something that really like taught me a lot, just having to work with somebody else and all those kids. And then I also would ride horses for other people at the barn because we had 17 horses at the time. And a bunch of those were boarders, and the barn owner had 4 of her own. So I helped her keep all of them in shape, feed all of them, and give medicines and anything else that was needed around the barn.
Yep, definitely. Very cool how all y'all started out. I have my ag teacher say I have essays in like almost every category because I have my sheep production, and then I work with my dad at his trailer business, and then I have this as well. But definitely starting out, I think y'all have very good essays and strong essay programs that y'all have. But so y'all mentioned how y'all started y'all's essay. So can y'all tell me like what the biggest challenge has been in y'all's essay, the hardest thing that y'all have had to overcome?
The hardest thing for me was during surgery, you have to pack the surgery, or before surgery, you have to pack the surgery pack, and there's a bunch of instruments that go into it, and you have to put them a certain way and then wrap it up a certain way. And it was a lot to learn because there's like 15 or 20 different instruments, and I have to know the names of them and the order that they go, and it was very challenging to learn all of them. But a way that I overcame that was each time I would do a pack is I would hold it up and say the name of it and the order that it went in to get in the rhythm, I guess. And then once I got that, it was really simple once you learn it, but it did take a couple weeks.
So I actually have 2 things. So starting out, I don't think I mentioned this, but mainly whenever I'm working, I'm a queen catcher. So I go out in our mating nucleus colonies. They're pretty small boxes, and then they have 2 sides to each, and then we go in there and collect the queen for sale. So distinguishing the queens, so we actually sell 2 breeds. We have Italians and Russians. It was difficult at first. I would usually get the drones and the queens mixed up, but you can tell the drones are they have a more round abdomen. They're a little fatter, and then they also have really big eyes. And then once I got that distinguished, I could easily point out the queen with a long stretched out abdomen. And then the second thing is actually Hurricane Helene. It hit us pretty hard. We had, I think, out of our 5,000 mating hives, about 1,500 of those got destroyed. And then we had about 5,000 like 10-frame hives, and about 600 or 700 got destroyed, I think. And just recovering from that. So this will be our first season. We actually had to get some new hives. We talked to FSA, got some money back for that, and we're just trying to recover a little bit. I don't know if this year is going to be as good as previous years, but dealing with that. So I had to go out, and we had to. My dad mainly, he had to cut up the trees that were all on the boxes, remove those, and then most of them, of course, were destroyed. So we lost the bees in there too, and that was pretty hard.
Yep, I definitely say that hurricane messed a lot of stuff up in the state. Like, I know down here it messed up a ton of the timber industry as well. But yeah, that's a very tough challenge that you had in your essay. What about you, Maddox?
I'd say my biggest challenge was probably just going from having like 1 kid to like 8 kids. Some of those kids I would do in group lessons, and the biggest thing was each kid learns differently. No kid is the same, just like no horse is the same. So for every kid, they had a horse. No kid, like, we didn't like switch out in the middle of lessons. So if I had like 4 kids riding at once, you need to know how that horse rides. You need to know like what bit that goes on that horse. You need to know how the kid learns. So it's basically like all of that put together. So like if a kid's struggling, I need to know exactly what she needs to do to help with that horse, like to get him to act right, or what she's doing wrong for her own self. And just managing all the kids in like the arena, and especially if I had 1 kid that was really advanced and 1 kid that was starting out, I knew that I needed to watch both of them, but it was just like keeping my eyes on both of them and making sure that everybody's doing it right and nobody's like getting left behind and just managing.
Yep, I definitely say my biggest challenge in starting my sheep production essay would definitely be like the lack of knowledge that we had on it. Nobody in my county has ever owned or shown sheep before in over 40 years. The last person that did it, the first person that did it was my old middle school ag teacher, Miss Henderson, and she was the first person to ever do it, so I'm the second, and nobody knew anything about it. So I definitely say like just trying to meet with new people and get those connections made to see if how to do this a certain way or how to do I do this right in my essay. But it's definitely the learning aspect of it has been the hardest challenge for me in that area. But so moving on to challenge. So now that we're done with challenges, let me rephrase that. And we talked about how y'all started. So how would like a typical day look like for y'all when you're working in your essay, from like maybe start to finish, or just how that would that look like?
I can go first on this one. So, on Wednesdays during the week, so I worked at a vet clinic Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays I went and gave riding lessons all day basically because I only had one school. I'm at one class at the school. I would check on all the horses first whenever I got there. I'd pull them if I needed to, go ahead and have them ready in a stall. If I knew that we were going to be running short on time, or if I had a group lesson that day, a lot of times I'd go ahead and brush them off and everything so that we could get going faster whenever the kids got there. Because some of the kids were really tiny, so they couldn't really get the saddles up on the horses, so then it took me doing it all basically for them anyways. So I might as well go ahead and help them out. But then whenever they'd get there, I'd go ahead and teach them about it, like show them what I did. And then after that, a lot of times I'd go ahead and wait on the kids because it wouldn't take very long. Once they got there, we'd get the horses, we'd make sure they all had their helmets and they were all ready to go, nobody needed anything. We'd get in the arena. The lessons, I told them that they would last an hour. I'm not good at time management for that. I usually get caught up on time. So it'd usually be like an hour and a half whenever our lessons actually got finished. I'd see a car coming down the driveway, I'm like, oh, our hour is passed. And then we'd go put up the horses. We'd always go ahead and feed them afterwards and rinse them off and everything, and then we'd go put it back out in the pasture. If it was a day where I knew that I wasn't giving riding lessons and it was more so just duties, that would usually be on like a Friday or a Saturday. I would go after work, or Saturdays it would be basically all day. I'd go take care of all the horses. In the barn, we'd have like a big to-do calendar. I'd look and see what needed to be done on that calendar. If any horses needed medicines, what horses needed to be fed what in the mornings. Yeah, that's pretty much. It just varies day to day.
Yeah, what about y'all?
Okay.
So every day is different for me, but I'm gonna do Tuesday since those are surgery days and those are my favorite. So the day before, we have to print out pretty much the consent form that the owners have to sign that say, we can get their pet surgery. And then Tuesday morning, all the patients come in, we will get them checked in, we'll make sure we go over all the paperwork, all of the risk that go into being under. Make sure they sign those and understand, answer any questions that they may have about that. And then we will get the patient in the back and we will give them their pre-meds, which is just sedation, I guess. And then once they are sedated, we will go ahead and place the IV catheter in their arm so we have direct access to their veins. Then we intubate them, and that's just putting the tube down their throat so they can have oxygen and all that stuff. And then we will shave, if there's like a spay or whatever, we will shave the stomach and then get them on the table, strap them down so they can't wake up and start jerking and everything. And then we will make sure we clean it good because we don't want no germs and bacteria in the surgical site. And then once they are all scrubbed up, then the doctor will come in and do the surgery. We always make sure that we have like a tech like in the front of the patient so they can like see if they're waking up, and we also have another one off to the side so they can track the vitals. And then after the patient wakes up, we'll move them into recovery. We will remove their tube and we will keep tracking their vitals just to make sure that they're stable. And after after a few hours, we'll get them up and take them outside, make sure they're walking around good, using the bathroom. And if everything checks out, then they will get their catheter removed. And sometimes they get sent home with pain meds. It just depends on what kind of surgery they had. If they do, then we will get their pain meds ready for them, and then they'll go home after we remove their catheter. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like I was saying with the queen production, so we'll go in. Usually I just ride with my dad because it's pretty easy. We get there about 7 o'clock every morning. And then we will board our van. We have a syrup tank on the back. It's 100 gallons maybe, I think. And we go ahead and get the syrup for the day. It's water and corn syrup, I think. We'll fill that up, and then we'll go out to one of our, I think we got 6 queen yards right now. And we'll go out, and I will get my stool. I have a smoker. I have a veil usually, especially on rainy days. They get mad. And we'll go out. I'll have my hive tool. We'll get into the boxes. And usually, at least Monday through Wednesday, we'll just be catching queens, trying to get our orders filled for the week. And then kind of later on in the week, we'll, especially during the summer, whenever some of our bee boxes have died out, we'll be picking up comb. So we go to the boxes that have no bees in them, they've died out. We'll pick up the honeycomb to prevent wax moths from spreading, and then we'll take them back to our shop and put them in a storage shed to prevent more wax moth buildup. Because once they get in there, they destroy all the comb. We can't even use it anymore. So, and it's like I said, it's pretty schedule based. Like we kind of doing the same thing over and over again. But I enjoy going out there. Everybody that works out there is family, and we always have a good time just talking out there, messing around.
Yep. Yeah, that's really neat. It sounds really cool. But I'd say a typical day to me varies because I would definitely say we all have a busy schedule, and to me it's just really whenever I have time to be out there, I'm gonna be out there. Right now we're building a fence to fence in some pasture for them. My dad's actually out there finishing it right now. And we put in all the T-posts and the wooden posts in last Sunday, and then today they were just stretching the fence and the wire out. But typical day for me is probably just feeding and working on them, and then for this it's just filming episodes, scheduling events. Definitely,
Yeah.
That's a big challenge for me. Scheduling events, because everybody has a busy schedule, and like once you get more than one person on here, it's like 4 people's schedule clashing together to see if one day would work to be out here. But besides that, it's just my day varies very much to my schedule a lot. Like you said, yours varies on a schedule. Mine varies how my schedule goes.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely, y'all have very cool daily schedules in y'all's essays, and they're really cool because they're all very diverse sections in agriculture. But kind of moving on to the diversity side of it, what is like one thing that you wish like the general public or people would know about your industry? Like what would you want them more informed on?
So for mine, this is something that I actually dealt with on my own, myself, is we do not have enough vets that go out in the community. Like there's so many that are like, oh, only small animals. Like people just don't want to be large animal vets anymore. And like I've had this happen to me twice, and it's awful. I had a horse go down, and I couldn't get her back up, couldn't do anything. She literally could not stand up. Tried putting the halter on her and like helping her up, anything. Got the tractor, tried to stand her up with the tractor, couldn't get her to stand up at all. We ended up called vets. We called 4 vets. None of them could come out at all. None of them even like. Some of them didn't even answer the phone. Like we had 2 that didn't even answer the phone, but they had text back. And that's just so disappointing whenever you've used those vets so many times and you've been so loyal, and then you have something happen and then nobody can make it out there to you. And living in a rural community, that's also super tough. And we ended up having to shoot them, and it's just hard to deal with, especially whenever it's your animal, and you have a connection with them. It's just not something you see coming. Like for me, that morning I walked out, and like a lot of times this specific horse, she'd be laying down and like she would sunbathe. She loved to sunbathe. And this morning walked out, and like usually I would like yell to her, like this was at my house. I would yell to her, and I'd be like, Shine, and she would like pop her head up, and she'd look at me, and her ears would go up, and then she'd just lay back down, and I always knew she was fine. And this morning, my buckskin mare that I had, she was standing at the top of the hill, and I looked down there, and my paint was laid down on the ground, and I was like, that's pretty normal. And I had some extra time this morning. I was like, I'm gonna go down there, and I'm gonna go like check on her, just see her, and go pet her, because she was precious. She was my first horse that I had. That was my first barrel horse. I walked down there, and she was just, her eyes were kind of just like dazed. Her eyes were very glossy, and I could tell by like her sides that she had probably been down like all night. And I had gotten home late that night. Like I had known that like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock that night, she was up. Like I didn't know what time, but at that point there was nothing I could do to help her, and just had to put her down, do what was best for her. There's no point in letting her suffer.
Yeah. It's like having a lack of communication.
Yeah,
Resources.
resources.
Yeah. What about y'all's side of the industry?
So I always like to advocate for, like, of course, the necessity of bees. Like bees, without bees, most of our agricultural products wouldn't be, like, especially like fruits and stuff. You have to have cross-pollination for those to grow, and like most of your fruits you eat. But just the necessity of it, and sometimes there aren't like enough bees around. Sometimes I know wild bees, they do a lot of pollination, and then we really don't do pollination services, but pollination services, they help out when your crop, you need pollination. But just people realizing the necessity of it and not just disregarding, because like some people will go out there and they'll just go kick over a bee box, like, and then of course they'll get stung, but they're like, they don't mean anything, they're just here to be here. But and I know a bunch of people, we know, all of us know, agriculture is necessity for everyone's life, and the bees, they are a necessity for that agriculture.
Yep. Like you said, like people going out there and like kicking bee box and getting stung. Like at our house, we don't go within like 15 feet of their hives. Like when we go out there and mow, like we mow around them, because one of our friends used to mow our lawn out there, and he was mowing like raw on the bee box, and he got stung pretty bad by them. But yep, definitely a good idea, like getting people to know the importance of them. What about you, Candace?
I would say something I wish people understood was that it's not just playing with puppies all day, like at all. We honestly see more like senior dogs and like more sick dogs than we even see of puppies. We have like maybe one puppy come in every day. So that's definitely a big one. And it's not like you don't just play with the puppies all day. Like it's a lot of sickness and a lot of not very good things. So yeah, that's definitely a big one that I wish people understood more of.
Yep. So, because I know you worked at a vet clinic too, and she would come home, or she would tell me all the things that was going on that day too.
I'd be so sad.
Yeah.
She'll just call me, she'll be like, well, we had to do this today. But
I do feel like being a vet would be a very sad job.
yeah.
That was my major actually, and I changed my major 2 days before classes started to nursing from vet. And I had worked for a vet for over 2 years, and I love the vet I work for. I take my dogs there, and I'm like, I could see them every month. Got to go pick up my flea and heartworm prevention. And every time I walk in there, they're so happy. But like, I saw like on a day-to-day how stressed they were.
Yeah.
And after I got thinking, and after I realized that ABAC wasn't going to take all the biologies I'd already taken, I was like, you know, after seeing that, I was like, I'm not sure if I want that for myself for the rest of my life. Having to bring the work home and seeing how she had to deal with clients and people who'd walk out, like they'd be like, oh, let me go put my dog up, didn't come back and pay. I don't know if I'd want that for myself. And I was just like, well, started thinking, shadowed a nurse. Both my sisters are in healthcare, and I was like, nursing. Now I'm starting in the fall. Just applied this week. Hopefully I get in.
And that's good.
That's cool.
That is the reason that I'm not
Yeah.
want to be a vet, because it just seems like the doctor like walks on eggshells every single day of his
Yeah.
life, and I do not want to live like that.
Exactly.
So,
No.
yeah.
That's exactly what my sister wanted to do. She wanted to be a vet, and then she shadowed a vet for I think like 6 months, a local vet here. I think it was Gibson's,
Yeah.
and she did not want to do it after being there.
Yeah.
She just thought it was too much of like a not too much responsibility, but like you said, taking the work home and having to do that workload at home, and she was just worried she wasn't gonna have that time for herself.
Yeah.
So then she switched her major like Maddox did. She switched her major to ag ed, but yeah, she's really passionate about teaching students. She's been thinking about teaching elementary kids, and I was like, I don't know about that, but you can go towards that if you'd like. But kind of moving on a little bit as well. What could you say would be your favorite moment in your essay? Like maybe you have a favorite memory that happened or something funny that's happened that's been your favorite.
I guess I feel like my favorite being able to do something with my SAE was being able to be a national finalist in Proficiency. It was pretty cool to get to walk on stage at national convention. But then a favorite memory, just like here at home, having my SAE, just socializing with my family, because most of them are my cousins, and I mean, they all live around Montgomery County, but we don't like see them a whole lot. Like, but whenever we're working together, we get to socialize. And then whenever I was real little, I would always go out with my grandpa, and every summer for like 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 4th grade, I went out there and I got stung in the eye in the exact same spot like 3 or 4 years in a row, and he would have to rub tobacco juice on it to like make it, because that's like the natural remedy. That's what they do. But it's just fun going out there with my family and just experiencing all that.
Yeah, we actually this year one of our friends, Lindsay Moore, she was a region winner in, I think it's diversified livestock. Is that?
She's doing bees.
She's doing bees too.
Mine was in specialty animal.
I think hers is in
I think it's diversified.
diversitized. But she does beekeeping too as well here with Sanders Honey Company. And fun fact, she's allergic to bees.
Oh, wow.
And she got stung in the eye the day before, the morning of banquet.
And I think she's done it
Yeah.
she did it like 3 times last semester or last year. And she did it the year before like twice, and it wasn't that bad. Like at first she didn't swell up that bad, but now it's like whenever she does it, have y'all ever seen like the shape of like an alien? Like I swear, like she thinks it's funny too. Like her head will literally like, and bless her heart, she's like, I can't see.
Like it was the morning of banquet, or like she got stung that day because our banquet started at 5, and she got here at 3 o'clock, and she was working with the bees throughout midday.
Yeah.
And she comes back and her eyes like swole shut. And we're like, Liz, did you get like punched or something? She's like, no, I got stung by a bee, but it's kind of funny.
She through it every time.
Because she's allergic to bees, but that's her whole essay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And she loves it. She wants to do
Yeah.
that like in the future. Like
She
keep
wants to
doing
go
it.
into beekeeping.
She's like have to
Yeah.
keep an EpiPen on her? Or?
No,
it's
she's not like deathly
She's
allergic.
not
She's
deathly
just
allergic
like
to
It just swells up bad?
yeah.
That's
But, yeah. But going back to it, what would be one of y'all's favorite memories out of that as well?
I would say my favorite memory would be the day that they let me place the IV catheter. I'd already been there for like a year and a half, and I had been like drawing blood in the past, and I got really good at that. So they told me, finally one day, the day finally came that they let me try it, and I got it on my first try, and I'm really proud of it, because I wouldn't say it's hard, but I don't know, it was just a big accomplishment of mine, and I really enjoyed doing that. And now it's like, once I do it one time, like I just want to I want to do it all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to think.
Surgery day like that was always my favorite, because I was the same way. I loved doing the catheters,
Yeah.
and like I would always be the one that would shave them and I'd scrub them with iodine and all.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed like putting in the catheter. Always looks so easy, but then you get it and they're like, you can't move this finger. Once you get it inserted, you just push the other one. I was like, I didn't realize it. Like they made it look so easy, the vet techs did, and then I did it. Not gonna lie, like I did miss it like my first like 2 times, and it was on a crooked little leg Dotson. But then they gave me a black lab, and I was like, okay, now I understand what you mean, because I actually have like a leg to hold on to. And then I got good at it like you. But for my own SAE, like I said, I had some kids that were like autistic, and I had one specific one, and she had come to our summer camp 2 years in a row, and my last last year before I started going, like, left for college and was given riding lessons still, she had started taking riding lessons with me finally. And she had always begged to. She was like, she loved horses. She knew everything about horses. That was her thing. And her goal was to be able to jump. She wanted to jump so bad. And she wasn't bad at riding. It was just more so of trying to get her to do multiple things at once. Put her heels down as she was riding, look up, keep her back straight, that you couldn't just slouch in the saddle. Getting her through trotting was probably our biggest obstacle with her. Getting her to post, keeping her heels down, keeping her head forward, not pulling back on the horse's mouth and balancing on their mouth, but keeping your hands down. And once we got that, I put up like little ground poles and let her do like one little jump. And if you could have seen how happy that kid was, it was like made my whole job. It was like so good. And I sent the video to her mama, and her mama was so happy too. And it just makes your day.
Yeah. I definitely say I have a ton of favorite memories, but kind of going with showing sheep. We're at the state show. I don't even know how long ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I think, something like that.
Something like that.
We were out there, and then I actually got my first ribbon at the state show last month, and then my lamb ended up eating that ribbon, and it was funny because she got 8th place, and then my sister looked at it, she's like, "Oh well, she actually ate," and then it was like a funny moment, and like I only have like the head of the ribbon, she ate like all the dangling pieces of it, but that was definitely a funny moment that happened to me. I feel like something always has to happen to me on the trip that I go somewhere. But kind of moving in from our favorite moments, what could you say that like, got it back again. What could you say has been like the most rewarding thing of your essay, like something that's stuck with you since you've started it or since that moment has happened? What has been the most rewarding part?
So like the one I had just talked about, that was probably really rewarding. But I can give another example. It'd probably be just being able to like see somebody see your like your skills and like really hone in on that and like give you opportunity to grow with that and like open your what is the word I'm thinking of? Sorry. Like open you up to more opportunities to do stuff, meet more people, see new things. And like I did barrel racing, and the barn I worked at was English warm bloods and off the track thoroughbreds mainly, or like appendixes, which is like quarter horse and thoroughbred. So that was not something I was used to. I was used to rodeo horses. I was used to thick little quarter horses, and here I come, huge horses over my head. Trying to learn like a different discipline, it was so much fun, and being able to get in on that and then teach kids, it was very rewarding, and being able to grow my own skills. I love that people like complimented me, like, "Oh, you're doing so good," or "Oh my gosh, you're riding." And I was like, it makes you feel good.
What about you?
I would say that mine would be whenever we have like very sick patients come in and we give them the treatment that they need and make sure they're getting all the right medications and doing everything right, and then they come back a few weeks later for like their recheck and see how they're doing, and they're just like a completely different dog, and they're doing so much better, and it just makes you feel like that you're doing something right, and I really enjoy that. So that is definitely a big accomplishment, I guess.
Yeah, like kind of looking back and like seeing that dog come back healthier than it was.
Yeah.
Like I had a part to do with
Right.
that. Like,
Yeah, makes you feel good.
Yeah, so similar to like y'all have elementary ag days, we always have a farm day every year in November. And I've had like a little bee exhibit the past like 3 years. And every year they always look forward to coming to my thing. I teach them about bees. I always have a observation hive. I always show them the queen. I show them the honey. And then also have like this little honey candy I give them. They always enjoy that. And just teaching them about it, because all of their faces just light up. They're like, "I didn't even know that. What's that?" They come in there, some of them come in there, they're like, "What's that? Gnats? Flies?" I'm like, "No, it's honeybees." And I tell them all about it, and then they're just, every time they're like, what about, how do you get these? How do you collect all these bees? I'm like, we just put them in the box, and they do their own thing, and then we collect them up. But just seeing their faces light up is really fun. And then actually another funny story. So whenever we were at convention and I got to walk on stage, we have an elementary ag teacher, and she was showing the live stream on the projector, and I knew some of the kids in the class, like they remembered me, and I got to walk on stage, and then she shared a video with me, and I didn't win, but they were like, "Oh, this is rigged." But just to see that I made an impact on them is pretty cool to see that.
Yep, I'll definitely say the most rewarding thing would be, like you said, the ag days we have here. We have fifth grade ag days in the fall, and then we have kindergarten ag days actually coming up in 3 weeks in the spring. And definitely, like Maddox said, bring her horse up here. I bring my sheep up here, and we have 8 different rotations with all the sections in ag. We have bees, and like one trick I would say, if you have candy, the kids will definitely pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they're working for candy,
For
they're going to
sure.
pay attention.
I'd work to pet the animal. Feed her a treat. I let the teachers always pick a kid they could give her a treat.
Like what we do at the end, like they always end up having lunch in the main arena out there, and they have a picnic.
Oh.
And the kindergartners sit on the floor, and then the fifth graders, we have the table set out for them. And once they're done with their lunch, they still have like a few minutes left, so we'll do trivia with them. Of like we'll all ask one thing that we told each group that walked around, and then each class has a group leader, which is just a high schooler or officer that was walking them around the rotations. And then they'd be like, we'd ask them that one question, and you just hear them all screaming, shouting the answer, and they're like, well, you're shouting the answer, and just giving the answer to the rest of them. But definitely, like you said, leaving that impact on them, because doing that trivia, it really shows like that they did learn something, and that you left that impact on those students.
Yeah.
But what's like, trying to see how to freshly move this on through the other question. Like, what's one thing that you're looking forward to this year? It doesn't have to be an FFA or your SAE, but just something that you're looking forward to this year.
I'm really looking forward to state convention. Last year I got my state degree, so I got to get on stage. That was my first time getting on stage at state convention. But this year I actually get to get on stage for like something that, I mean, I did earn and work hard for my state degree, but like, I don't know, I guess this one's kind of different since it's a proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to get on stage for that, and I'm super excited. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yep, state convention's always fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I would probably say starting a new chapter, if getting into nursing school. If I don't get in, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do because I'm already taking most of my classes for my bachelor's to go ahead. So I'm kind of banking on it, but if so, just looking forward to that new chapter, new things learned.
Yeah.
I like school. I love learning stuff that's new. And honestly, I really don't know what I'm going to do once I'm out of school. Like, I look forward to it. I know.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Evan?
I'm just, I guess, looking forward to everything that's in store. So, I mean, state convention's coming up. We got the summer coming up. Hopefully, I'll be able to go to Washington, D.C. for, WLC. And then starting up senior year, cranking out, trying to get some stuff done so I can eventually, hopefully, go to UGA in the spring of 2020 or fall of 2026. Just looking forward to the future, but also trying to live in the moment and experience everything I can, taking it all in.
Yep. Definitely say mine would be state convention. I'm going to state in a CDE that I've never competed by myself before, or I've never made it to state. How do I word this? Like, I've never made it to state in a CDE by myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's definitely going to be a cool experience. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then also, like you said, school, college. I'm thinking about going to ABAC. It's an hour down the road.
Yeah.
But I think that'll definitely be fun. What I'm looking forward to.
Is that the only thing you're looking forward to at state convention?
No, there's other commitments at state convention that we're looking forward to. But yep, it's definitely going to be a fun convention to remember, regardless of what happens that day.
Yeah.
But so this is kind of flows into the next question. How could you say? I know we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but how could you say your essay has influenced or is influenced your career choice or what you want to do after high school? Or I know that you're in college now, but how could you say that has impacted y'all's choices?
So definitely, as I was going for vet, and that was like my biggest thing is I knew the need for like large animal veterinarians, and I was going for that. I wanted to be an equine sports medicine veterinarian. But then whenever I changed my major, I changed it to nursing, and I took a lot of consideration into it. I wanted something that would be able to pay for that, be able to pay for my horses, have that off time to be able to, actually ride, compete in shows like I want to do. So I definitely took consideration into like that. Like I wanted to be able to have horses and be able to pay for them and like, basic animal care.
Yep.
Yeah. So now I do also do the beekeeping, but I also developed another leg to my SAE. So I started working in our middle school ag program, helping our teacher out, teaching classes, and like helping CDE teams and whatnot. But I think now I want to hopefully go to either UGA or ABAC, whichever way God leads me. But I hope to major in ag ed, and then of course stay true to my roots and educate about beekeeping, and then hopefully still work with the family business, depending where I end up. And it's definitely influenced my decision, like teaching, helping the middle school ag, and then the beekeeping. I just want to be an advocate for that, and then I also enjoy helping people out, teaching kids. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Candace?
Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a veterinarian, but like I said before, once I started working in that field, I realized that maybe that wasn't for me. Now, don't get me wrong, absolutely love working there, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But after being very active in FFA for all these years, my ag teachers have had a very big impact on my life, and I wouldn't be who I am today without them. So I'm going to go to ABAC and major in ag ed as well. And I really thought that I wanted to do this for like 3 years. Like this is where I've been dead set on this for like 3 years. And I really thought that I would change my mind, but I haven't, which is surprising to me. So that's my plan, and I am very excited. So yeah.
Yep. And I feel like my plan is kind of the same as y'all's. I want to go to ABAC, major in ag ed, and then I don't know, maybe wherever after that happens, wherever the Lord takes me to teach a school, whether that's middle school or high school. I've always said I never wanted to teach middle school, but my ag teachers and everybody says different because
Yeah.
my middle school advisor, she always asked me to go back to the middle school and talk to them. And this past week, they're all asking for me to go to their FFA meeting, and she always sends me a text. The kids are asking if you're going to come back to the FFA meeting. And I was like, yeah, I'll see if I can make it. And then, I don't know, I've always said I didn't want to teach middle school, but I feel like if it were to be any middle school, I'd have to come back and teach mine. But it's just, I want to go into ag ed and maybe get a minor in ag comm or livestock production, but definitely dead set on ag ed.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned teaching middle school. So I had kind of thought about becoming an ag teacher and maybe teaching high school, and then I started interning with our middle school, and like every week if I'm not in that class one day, because I also am taking college classes, I'm trying to balance that, and I don't go in there every day, but if I'm not in there and they see me in the hallway, they're like, where are you at? Why were you not here yesterday? And I think that I was originally thinking about teaching high school, but I think that middle school is really where my heart needs to be.
Yep, definitely. One of my friends, Anna Gray, she I always complained about the middle schoolers when I go to their meetings. She was like,
Yeah.
I don't know why you complain because they love you. They're always asking for you to be at their things. But I don't know. It's in between middle school and high school for me now. It's just, I don't know, because I feel like you can do a lot more with high schoolers, but being at that middle school level, you get to see, like, you're the, how do I say it, like, you're the one starting them off.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one that's starting their journey, too, as well. But definitely going to ABAC, getting the ag ed degree. So if you could describe your SAE experience in 3 words, what would those 3 words be and why? Might have to think.
So
for
I'm
this
about to say
one
that's a
little bit.
thinker. That's
Yeah.
a thinker.
Challenging, rewarding. Is opportunistic a word?
We can make it a
Yeah,
word
I
today.
think
Yeah.
that's good.
So you said challenging,
Rewarding,
rewarding.
and opportunistic, if that's a
Mm.
word.
I think that's a word. It sounds. It
Yeah,
sounds.
we'll
like
make
a
it
word.
a word today.
It sounds like a word.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary, yeah.
I'm gonna have to say. I guess I'm gonna have to steal Maddox. Rewarding. Probably loving, cause like, not just with the bees, but like being able to work with the middle school. Like I'm talking about all my SAEs, but like everything I felt with that, and then just one more word. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't. Adventurous, I guess. I've been able to do a lot with my SAEs.
Yep. Definitely adventurous.
Always
I feel
looking
like.
for something new.
Yep. I feel like that's kind of how all of us started adventuring out, and
Yep.
then that's how we've gotten here.
I'm also gonna have to go with rewarding because I don't know. I just learn something new every day. Fun. That one's I don't know. I really love it, and I think it's fun. And another one would be I had it, but I forgot. Fun, rewarding, and exciting. Just because every day is different, and you learn so much stuff every day.
You
You
never
never know what
Yeah.
you're gonna get into. Yep.
Yep. There's definitely 3 great words. I'd probably steal a lot of y'all said. Definitely rewarding would definitely be one. Whether it's just teaching students or learning stuff yourself. But definitely rewarding. I feel like that's the main one. I mean, we all said it. We all
Yeah,
mentioned it in
everybody.
ours.
It's a unanimous one.
That made me think about something is like, I don't know why it made me think of hard working, but what came to mind is actually whenever it snowed, Jose made he made a sheep, like a full-size sheep out of
Dude.
snow. And I was like, dang. I don't know why that made me think about that, but I was like, and he spray painted it, like I like dead serious. Like I had the black Lakers and all.
It was funny.
That's
I seen it.
I struggled to make a snowman.
No, we barely had any snow down here. Like you like stuck your finger in, and it was like you hit the dirt after that much. So it was me and my dad were out there, and my dad hates the cold. He was out there for like 5 minutes, and we went back inside. And I was actually on FaceTime with my sister. I propped the phone up as I was building it, and we were on the phone talking. And she was building a snowman as I was building my snow sheep, as you would call it. But yeah, that definitely was a fun day. All right. If you could go back in time and you could give yourself some advice, it doesn't have to be on your essay or proficiency. Just give yourself some advice. What would it be and why?
So the advice that I'd give is that I didn't even want to fill out my proficiency. So I did it once in middle school, and it was for entrepreneurship with my own horses. I did not put a lot of effort into it. I didn't really know what I was doing, and like not my proficiency, just didn't know how to like fill out all the paperwork. So I really didn't care. Whenever I got into high school, we always had to do an SAE like every semester, but the ag teachers wanted me to do it serious, and I was always like, no, I don't want to. Finally, my senior year, I decided I was going to do it serious. I actually put everything in, put all the effort in, and like, I wish I would have done it sooner because I would have had those records. It would have made it way easier to fill it out. But being that I didn't, it took me longer. But it was nice to be able to say I've been there and done that, made it to state, made it to nationals, and I wish I would have done it sooner. I probably could have learned something, like maybe made it to state sooner, maybe not won, but would have had like feedback on what I could have strengthened
Like
to be able
something
to win
build
nationals.
upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's some advice that I'd give is just take the opportunity if you get it. Don't procrastinate like I did. Actually do the proficiency. I loved my proficiency. I just didn't want to. I was busy. I had 3 jobs. Didn't want to sit down and fill it out. But
Yep, I feel like that's kind of how mine turned out. I submitted a proficiency in sheep production this year, and I mean, it's not that I didn't want that one to win, but like that wasn't the proficiency that I wanted to do, if that made sense. So like next year, I'm gonna submit this as a
Yeah.
proficiency, and obviously I can't because I don't have like that year's worth of background.
Records, yeah.
So I submitted my sheep proficiency, and there was 4 of us in the region, and I got second. And I mean, I wasn't expecting it to make it to state. It was just to like get a feel of how the process would go and like how it would work out in the end of it. But if I'd give myself advice, definitely, like you said, do it sooner and like just keep records of
Yeah.
stuff. But what about you, Evan?
All right, so I got 2 things. I would definitely say to take every opportunity that comes across, like seize that opportunity, because sometimes a door opens and then you turn back around and it's not there anymore, it's closed. So just go after everything that presents itself. Don't just sit around, wait on something, because I mean, God's gonna provide. Like a bird, He doesn't just throw food in its mouth. I mean, it has to work for it, you know. And then the second thing I would say is, don't fret every little thing. Whenever you go for an opportunity, you don't get the proficiency you wanted. You don't win that CDE. Just don't fret it. Just move on with life. Keep on going about your day. Don't fret everything. It's not that serious, man.
Yep.
Mine would definitely be to not be afraid to talk to people. Now that I'm a senior, looking back on my freshman year and all the people that I've met, and I haven't, like, got a connection with them, I guess. And it's crazy to think about if I did speak up and come out of my shell my freshman year, then I would have had all these connections with people from all over the state of Georgia. But I don't, because I was shy and scared. So don't be afraid to be yourself and speak to people.
Yeah, those are definitely good advice that you could go back and get yourself. There's definitely a tons more that a ton of people could say, but definitely the ones Eric said are great. And that kind of leads us into our next and final question of today's episode. If you could not go back, that was the one I just said. If you could give advice to somebody that's just starting a proficiency or that has an essay and wants to take it to the proficiency level, or one that wants to start an essay, what advice would you tell them and why?
So going back to what I would tell myself kind of leads into this question as well. Just go after it. Don't just wait on it. Like y'all said, you wish you done it sooner. Go after it, and once you put in the work, the application isn't nothing. That's the easy part. Putting it all down on paper, you do all the work first, and then you can put it down on paper. That's the easy part. And just looking back, I've done so much with my SAE, and being able to put it down is great. Learning how that process works.
Mine would be, it's not going to be if you're starting it, but maybe if you've made it past that region level or you're trying to make it past that region level, don't let somebody else go and edit your SAE and make it something that you don't know what they put. If they change something, know your proficiency like the back of your hand. If somebody asks you a little detail, if you wrote something in your SAE, and it was like, you did something this day and time, like for you gave some medicine, you gave it to a cat. What did that medicine do? Why did you give that medicine? What was that medicine? You've got to know that information. If you make it to that interview process, they pick little things out like that, and they're going to ask you questions on it. There was one specific one they asked for me, and it was like, what was one of my organization things that I had done in my proficiency, like what was something I had done to make it better. And I had done our feed room. We had 17 horses, and so our feed room was a hot mess. We had feed bags all over the ground. We'd just get food straight from the feed bag most of the time. We fixed it. We got bins for everything. We had a board. It was labeled what each horse got, what time they got it, why they got it, what supplements went with that food. If they had any issues, like if a horse had ulcers, we had all that written down. And they're going to ask you stuff like that, like, what is ulcers? Why did you give that for ulcers? What does that do? And those were questions that I was asked. It's just, you just don't, like, I've heard people say, like, oh, yeah, my ag teacher filled mine out. No, because you're the one that's answering those questions. You're not going to make it past that interview level if you don't know what they put. You need to be there. It's okay if they edit it if you have bad grammar. That's okay. But it needs to be your work. You put in the work. You need to know what you put. Don't lie about it. If your SAE isn't that strong, wait another year. Fill it out then.
I feel like that kind of relates to my favorite competition, Prepared. You can definitely tell what students read their speech and who didn't, because by the time questions comes around, the kid that wrote their own speech is going to know and how to answer those questions, and the kid that didn't write that speech doesn't know the research and stuff that went behind it, so they're just going to like stand there and freeze up and not know what to say. But definitely, like you said, just doing your own work, definitely. But what about y'all?
Mine would be for someone who's starting out their SAE. Just find something that you love and that you enjoy doing, because it's going to be a lot easier to get it done if you like doing it. If it's something that you don't necessarily like and maybe your ag teacher's like pushing you to do it, but you don't really want to do it, it's going to be a lot harder and a lot more challenging for you to do it since you don't enjoy it. And then another thing would be is don't wait till the last minute to get the applications done, because the deadlines will definitely sneak up on you, especially if you have a lot of deadlines and a lot of applications due around the same time.
Yep. But also some advice I would give, do not be scared to ask for help. Definitely, that's a big one. I'll move this mic over a little bit. Don't be scared to ask for help. I know I struggle with this a lot. Maddox knows about this a lot because she's the one that tells me that you need to start asking for help when we were in high school together. Because I'd always want to do everything on my own, and I'd just be like too scared to be like not necessarily a burden on somebody else, but like having somebody else deal with like my problems. So like that's why I would always be too scared to ask for help. But besides that, just there's people out there that are willing to help you and wanting to help you, whether that's just your ag teachers, your peers, or industry leaders in that industry that your SAE's in, or it doesn't even have to be in your SAE. Just asking for help will take you a long way, because say that there's an important person in the same room and you don't ask for help, that's just like a missed connection that you could have made. That if you talked to that person, you could have had a great connection and it could have took your SA to the next level, but you didn't take that opportunity and ask for help. But definitely ask for help, and even if you're wanting to start a SA and you may not have the funds for it, there's grants out there for you. FFA puts on grants that you can apply for. I want an extension grant on my SA, so I'm building a pasture for my sheep currently. My dad's out there today finishing up putting the wire up, and we went out last Sunday to put the T-post and the wooden posts up. But definitely there's a ton of resources and help out there for you. You just have to reach out to them. But all that advice y'all said was definitely great. And I think just keep doing what y'all are doing, and everything that y'all do is great. Like your essays, like you just a region winner and you have so much ahead of you. And then y'all two that were national finalists last year, definitely there's a lot of people that look up to y'all with that. And just, like I said, again, even reaching out to some of them to ask for help. But definitely go out, ask for help. I know I said that a million times already, but definitely. And is there anything else that y'all want to mention or talk about? All right, so that's where we're going to end today's episode of the Blue Jacket Banner. We thank you for watching, and I thank y'all for coming out, making the long drive to get here. I know each of y'all had like at least an hour drive. I know you were visiting home this weekend, but I know I'm really grateful and really appreciative of y'all making it out here and some minor inconveniences that we've had. Yeah. But I really thank y'all for coming out here, and we thank y'all for watching or listening to today's episode, whichever one that you're doing. And we really thank you for watching. And make sure to follow all of our social media to stay up to date to new episodes and new guests. So thank you for watching.